Да и Россия – единственная страна в мире, которая реально способна превратить США в радиоактивный пепел.
Well, how do you feel, my American viewers? Do you feel fear? Have you finally understood that nobody in the world can compete with great Russia? Yeah, this is sarcasm. Here is another short video for you.
Вообще на Британских островах, похоже, заговаривается. Зачем грозить ядерным оружием бескрайней России, сидя на, в общем-то, маленьком острове? Остров столь мал, что лишь одной ракеты «Сармат» достаточно, чтобы его утопить раз и навсегда. Все уже подсчитано.
I think I have many viewers from Great Britain, don't I? How do you like this one? Impressive, right? I'm Maria Drutska, and this video is going to be about Russian propaganda and its influence on the consciousness of Russians, and not only. But before I start, it would be amazing if you subscribe to my channel, like this video and share it with your friends. I heard it helps algorithm, and also more people could learn about methods of Russian propaganda. I really appreciate your support. Propaganda is one of the most effective methods of managing public opinion in the modern world. It is actively used in business, politics, education, healthcare, and many other spheres. And its main goal is to convey certain ideas and meanings to the masses using special techniques. But I must make a small remark right away. Not all propaganda is bad. Its essence and main context depends primarily on the goal pursued by propagandists. For example, you won't deny that promoting a healthy lifestyle among young people is positive because thanks to the right propaganda, foundations can be laid for the further health of the nation. In our case, we are dealing with daily injections of disordered information by Russians or outright fakes that are spread on federal TV channels and the internet. Before we continue further, you must understand that the propaganda that is broadcast in Russia is primarily aimed at the Russians themselves externally. The Russians produce propaganda and so-called IPSO. Informational Psychological Special Operations. IPSO are constantly used by the Russians, and I have to admit, some of these special operations have been successful. If you want to learn more about IPSO, please write this in the comments below. I will make a separate video as it is very interesting topic. And if you like my videos, consider supporting this channel through Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee, as this allows me to continue making these videos. Where does Russian propaganda begin? Since one of the main means of spreading propaganda in Russia is television, all federal channels receive certain instructions from above about the current agenda, where these are main theses around which propaganda is built. Now, let's talk about the methods of Russian propaganda. First is the expert opinion. Most of us probably know a blogger, politician, journalist, host who we regularly listen to and whose opinion we are interested in, or we read publications that we tend to trust more than others. Propagandists love to play on these feelings. They build a reputation as an expert to natively transmit certain ideas, framing them in the way that is easily accepted by most people. On Russian television, the most popular propagandists are Solovyov, Kiselov, the couples Skabeyeva and Popov, Sheinin, Korchevnikov, and others. All of them position themselves as journalists and experts and transmit different messages to the masses according to certain methodological guides sent from above. Next is manipulation by fear. It is based off primal human fears. For example, in the case of Russians, one can play on feelings of homophobia, showing and talking as often as possible about how terrible it is to be gay and how one can fight it. Also, Russian propagandists often use concealment of facts and polarity. And this is one of the most popular techniques that came from the marketing when a product or idea is presented only from the best side and shortcomings are silent. Polarity is a technique where the public is giving only two possible choices, black or white, without any half-tones. One of the favorite techniques of Russian propagandists is to divide people into ours and others. This is how they talk about external enemies who want to destroy peaceful Russia, presenting information in such a way that people get the impression that only thanks to sensible leadership of the country can peace be preserved in the world.
You know, the war which we are trying to stop and which was launched against us using Ukrainian people, of course, it influenced.
You just saw a fragment of the speech of the Russian foreign minister at a conference in India. Good reaction from the audience, right? Now let's try to imagine what an average Russian viewer will see. The minister of his country is trying to tell that Russia is making all efforts to stop this war, and the insolent enemies force poor and unfortunate Russia to introduce its troops into Ukraine. Not bad, right? And this is just a small patch against backdrop of a huge propaganda blanket that wraps all of Russia. Let's take a look at Russian propaganda aimed at its own citizens.
Мы воюем со всем блоком НАТО.
Никто не готовился к такой войне.
С той стороны нам противостоит коалиция с населением почти в 1 миллиард человек.
Ну никакая не Украина воюет с нами. Воюет мир, воюет НАТО.
This is how Russian propagandists justify their country's failures and seem to exalt their own state, which was not afraid of the formidable NATO and is participating in the war with Ukraine.
В составе полученных нами документов по изучению возможности распространения опасных инфекций через мигрирующих птиц. При укусе комары инфицируют атакуемых людей возбудителями особо опасных заболеваний.
You just listened to a short video about the use of combat mosquitoes in Kherson region. You know, I'm actually glad because these are obvious success of our military-industrial complex. But in all seriousness, we see a blatant deception which can be completely bought by the marginalized part of Russian society simply because they see on their television screens their representative at the UN talking about such terrible things. None of us can completely hide from the influence of propaganda, but we can learn to recognize when our opinion is being manipulated and what idea is being imposed. Understanding this, it will be much easier to choose which of the broadcast ideas will be useful for us and worthy of taking a place in our minds. See you in my next videos. Marginalized. Combat mosquitoes.